The film begins with a powerful witch and her two helpers attacking a swordsman and his students. In the fight, the witch defeats the swordsman by taking down his students. But the swordsman doesn't give up. He stands up again and tries to attack the witch, but he gets badly hurt. During the battle, the witch tells him she is looking for a special, legendary sword. While they're talking, a strong swordsman named Jang suddenly shows up. He fights the witch and, with his powerful sword, beats her and her helpers quickly. After the fight, Zhang asks the injured swordsman who made the legendary sword he is holding. The swordsman replies that the person who forged the sword has been consumed by the sword's evil power. Annoyed by the lack of useful information, Zhang uses his sword to finish off the swordsman before leaving. When Zhang returns home, he's welcomed by his pregnant wife. Soon after, she starts having stomach pains because the baby is coming. As Zhang helps her, a sword master and a forger, the person Zhang had been searching for, arrives at his home. At that time, the master tells Zhang that the sword he gave him will eventually mess with his mind, bringing harm to him, his wife, and even their family. But Zhang refuses to give up the sword, saying he needs it to protect his family from danger. 20 years later, Zhang had become a legendary swordsman, and people all over China told stories about him. In a shop, a storyteller was sharing Zhang's story with some visitors. However, not everyone believed it because they had never seen Zhang for themselves. Among the visitors was a girl named Xiao Ling, who was disguised as a man. She sat calmly, trying to convince people that Zhang was real. Her words upset a bald warrior who didn't believe in Zhang's story. Without hesitation, the warrior attacked Xiao Ling, but she easily defeated him. Meanwhile, Zhang, disguised as an ordinary person, was walking through town. He joined a group of bandits who had just arrived. To pass the time, Zhang went to a small gambling place, where he got drunk and gambled. Unfortunately, the other gamblers thought he was cheating, so they beat him up. During the chaos, Xiao Ling arrived and stopped the fight. She defended Zhang and also showed interest in buying a ghost stone, an item that had belonged to Zhang's late wife. That night, Zhang woke up from a dream that reminded him how important the ghost stone was and that no one else should have it. Determined, Zhang decided to find Xiao Ling and get the stone back. Meanwhile, Xiao Ling was stealing food to share with abandoned children. She was known for her kindness to the poor, but because she always wore a mustache, people often thought she was a man. Soon after, Xiao Ling was on her way home when she ran into Zhang, who wanted the ghost stone back. Since she had paid for it, Xiao Ling refused to return the stone and walked away. Angry, Zhang attacked her to take it by force, but their fight was interrupted when Xiao Ling's family arrived. During their conversation, it became clear that Xiao Ling came from a noble family and had been raised by her aunt after becoming an orphan. When they got back to the palace, Xiao Ling's aunt was upset with her for stealing food in the city, even though she was supposed to be learning to act like a proper lady. Her aunt then revealed plans to marry Xiao Ling off to Zhao, the son of a martial arts master from the Tianwen family. That night, Zhao, who was supposed to marry Xiao Ling, was completely sober when Xiao Ling burst into his room, holding a sword to his neck. She demanded that he reject the arranged marriage. However, Zhao wasn't scared at all. He easily overpowered Xiao Ling, cornering her quickly. Just when things seemed bad for her, Zhang appeared and paralyzed Zhao, saving Xiao Ling. When she tried to stab Zhao, Zhang stopped her, telling her not to. He then asked for the ghost stone, but Xiao Ling refused to give it to him without a price. The next morning, Zhang and his group of bandits prepared to leave the city. As they reached the city gate, they were shocked to see Zhao's body. He had fallen from a building and died from a stab wound from Xiao Ling's sword, even though she hadn't killed him the night before. Despite this, Zhang and his crew continued their journey. On their way, Zhang opened a chest and was surprised to find Xiao Ling hiding inside. She had joined Zhang's group after being falsely accused of murdering Zhao. At that time, Xiao Ling suspected that someone framed her to start a war between her family and the Tianwen family. Meanwhile, at Xiao Ling's family palace, the Tianwen family sent soldiers to attack them. Shortly after, Xiao Ling's aunt quickly ordered her personal aide, Xiao Ling's uncle, to find her and bring her back for questioning. That night, Xiao Ling's uncle found her and tried to take her back to the palace. But Xiao Ling refused, saying she wasn't Zhao's murderer and was searching for the real killer. As she tried to escape, Xiao Ling was surrounded by guards. Meanwhile, Zhang was drunk, thinking about his past. He cursed his fate for not returning the Zhanlu Sword, which had brought him nothing but pain. The sword's evil power had caused him to lose both his wife and child. Feeling overwhelmed, Zhang decided to leave for a while to clear his mind. On the way, he stumbled upon Xiao Ling, unconscious in a horse stable. At the same time, Tian Wen's group, led by a martial arts master named Xin, was heading to Xiao Ling's family palace. The next morning, Xiao Ling woke up after being treated by Zhang. When Zhang noticed she was awake, he immediately asked for the ghost stone that Xiao Ling had taken before. Without them knowing, the city had been invaded by Tian Wen's troops, ready to attack Xiao Ling's family. As tensions rose, both sides prepared for a fight to settle the conflict. Wasting no time, Xin ordered his troops to attack and block the city to prevent anyone from escaping. On the other hand, Xiao Ling, still hiding with Zhang, received news that the city was in chaos after Tian Wen's forces attacked her family's home. At that time, Xiao Ling wanted to go help her family, but Zhang stopped her, reminding her that she wasn't fully recovered yet. After calming down, Xiao Ling promised Zhang that she would return the ghost stone to him. Zhang felt relieved and shared that the stone was his only connection to his missing daughter, whose whereabouts were still unknown. While they were talking, one of Zhang's friends, Shu, suddenly arrived. He warned them that they couldn't keep hiding, as the Tianwen warriors would eventually find them. Xiao Ling then told Zhang about a secret path he could take to escape the city safely. Everyone rushed to leave through the path, but Xiao Ling couldn't go with them. She needed to return to her family's home to resolve the situation. Before leaving, she entrusted the ghost stone to Shu, asking him to return it to Zhang. At the same time, the battle between Xiao Ling's family and Xin's forces was still raging. During the fight, one of Xiao Ling's uncles betrayed the family and attacked her aunt. When Xiao Ling arrived, she was heartbroken to see her uncle betraying them. She tried to fight back, but Zhang showed up and helped her by defeating the uncle. And Zhang, once thought to be dead, now confidently displayed his legendary sword skills. Seeing this, Xin sent his best warriors to fight Zhang. But with the Zhanlu Sword, which Zhang had hidden for 10 years, he easily defeated them. The sword gave Zhang great power, and he began to overpower Xin and his troops. Realizing he couldn't win, Xin decided to flee. Xiao Ling was shocked to see Zhang single-handedly defeat the entire Tianwen family. Later, her injured aunt told her the dark history of the Zhanlu Sword. The sword was dangerous and even cursed because it was forged using human sacrifices. After sharing this, the aunt instructed Xiao Ling to travel to Jiangsu to ask the Ouyang family for help, in case Xin returned to attack. She also asked Zhang and Shu to accompany Xiao Ling, and they agreed. During their journey, while resting, Xiao Ling decided to talk to Zhang, who was sitting alone. Soon after, Zhang opened up to her, explaining how the evil power of the Zhanlu Sword kept trying to take control of him. Meanwhile, Shu went for a walk in the forest to get some fresh air and met a bandit named Wu, who had been following him since the day before. Wu said he wanted to join Shu's group, and Shu didn't seem to mind. A while later, the group of 4 arrived at a village by a lake. They stopped at an inn to rest, where a man was telling scary stories about legendary swordsmen to frighten the kids. In the village, Xiao Ling was excited because she reunited with her old friend Pan. That night, all the villagers gathered at the village hall, enjoying food and drinks while sitting around a campfire. Xiao Ling went to talk to Zhang, who was sitting quietly by the hall. She shared memories of her childhood, explaining how she never saw her parents and was raised by her aunt. During the party, Zhang's eyes suddenly turned black, and he had a vision of the future. He saw the villagers being killed by someone. Unsure if it was real or just his imagination, Zhang kept quiet, thinking it might have been just an illusion. In the morning, Xiao Ling secretly stole the Zhanlu Sword, hoping to save her family at the palace. Zhang caught her in the act, and they ended up fighting over the sword. Back in the village, Shu informed the villagers that Wu had been kidnapped by Xin. He warned them to prepare because Xin's troops would likely return to attack the village. Meanwhile, Zhang and Xiao Ling eventually stopped fighting and forgave each other. At that time, they agreed to team up and take down the Tianwen family. While tending to Xiao Ling's injuries, Zhang explained that he had been cursed by the sword master for not returning the Zhanlu Sword. Because of this curse, the sword's evil aura often possessed him, leading to tragic events, including accidentally killing his wife and losing his daughter. Not long after, Zhang carried Xiao Ling back to the village so they could get ready for their journey to Jiangsu. However, they noticed that many villagers were avoiding them. Then, a man approached them, offering to cook lunch and prepare a boat for their journey. At the man's place, Zhang and Xiao Ling ate the food without knowing it had been mixed with sleeping pills. When the man tried to steal the Zhanlu sword, Zhang suddenly woke up and pointed his sword at him. Zhang then forced the man to show where the other villagers were. To his surprise, the man led him to a barn, where Zhang found Shu's body lying on the straw. Heartbroken, Zhang remembered his time with Shu and the other bandits. In another realm, the sword master was secretly controlling Zhang's fate and those around him because Zhang had once disobeyed him. Back in the village, Zhang, overwhelmed with anger, became possessed by the Zhanlu Sword's evil power. He began killing anyone in his path as he searched for Shu's killer. While he was on his way, Xiao Ling suddenly asked Zhang to carry her, not realizing that Zhang was already under the sword's dark influence. As they walked by the lake, Pan arrived and warned Xiao Ling to stay away because Zhang was possessed by an evil aura. Instead of listening, Zhang, controlled by the sword, struck Pan with his sword, killing her instantly. When Zhang regained some consciousness, he was shocked to see the ghost stone fall from Pan's pocket, realizing that Pan was his long-lost daughter. Overcome with regret, Zhang was suddenly attacked by Xin, who left him powerless, took the Zhanlu sword, and kidnapped Xiao Ling, bringing her to Tianwen's palace. At the palace, Xin revealed his ambition to restore his ancestral kingdom's glory and planned to use the Zhanlu sword's power to conquer surrounding areas. Before that, Xin used the sword to eliminate anyone who wasn't loyal to him. Afterward, Xin boasted about his dream to rule the world, including taking over Xiao Ling's family's territory. During his speech, Wu appeared, revealing he had betrayed Zhang by siding with Xin. Wu even admitted to letting Shu die horribly. Disgusted, Xiao Ling tried to fight back, but Xin quickly pointed the Zhanlu sword at her neck, stopping her. Back in the village, Zhang woke up on a boat, Pan's lifeless body beside him. He cried over his daughter's body, the daughter he had searched for all these years. After burying her and marking her grave, Zhang collapsed in the pouring rain. In his weakened state, memories flooded his mind about how he first met Pan in the village and imagined his family still together. But the truth was harsh that everyone he loved had died because of the cursed Zhanlu sword. At that moment, Zhang blamed himself for all the tragedies that had happened in his life. With the last of his strength, Zhang stood up again, determined to destroy the Zhanlu sword. Soon after, he headed straight to Xiao Ling's family palace to ask for help. Since Xiao Ling was being held hostage in Tianwen's palace, her aunt gave Zhang the family's special weapon to help him save Xiao Ling. When Zhang reached Tianwen's palace, he and Xin began showing off their sword skills. Although Zhang struggled at first, he eventually managed to take back the Zhanlu sword from Xin. Zhang then revealed a secret sword forging technique that made his sword even more powerful. At the same time, Xin performed a ritual to harness the Zhanlu sword's aura, and both of them now wielded the cursed sword's power. Suddenly, they fought again, but since Zhang was more experienced with the Zhanlu sword, he managed to defeat Xin. Soon after, Xiao Ling arrived with Wu, who had been pretending to side with Xin all along to save Xiao Ling. When Xiao Ling tried to approach Zhang, Wu stopped her, knowing that Zhang was possessed by the Zhanlu sword's evil aura. His fears were confirmed when Zhang, under the sword's influence, attacked and killed Wu. Still possessed by the evil aura, Zhang approached Xiao Ling and tried to kill her. And Xiao Ling, feeling guilty for everything that had happened, thought back to the events that started with Zhao's murder. She told Zhang that if they had never met, Pan wouldn't have died such a terrible death. Hearing this, Zhang, still controlled by the evil aura, began strangling Xiao Ling. Despite the dark power taking over him, Zhang fought to regain control. In the end, he made a difficult decision to sacrifice himself to destroy the Zhanlu Sword. In the final moments of the story, we see flashes of Zhang's beautiful memories with Xiao Ling as the cursed sword is finally destroyed. And Zhang, now weak and barely breathing, lies helpless as Xiao Ling cries by his side. In the end, Zhang dies, taking the curse with him. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if your sword starts causing drama, maybe it's time to switch to a less cursed weapon like a spoon.